for Libras and relationships, for me, it feels structured to me. They're in the summertime. I think they're gonna start realizing how I would say stiff they've been. Kind of similar to Virgos in a sense of they've been thinking their relationships too much through, and kind of like checking the boxes in a sense. Well, they have this, so maybe I'll stay because all these check boxes and all. So I just feel they're gonna kind of like realize how stiff they've been because everybody else around them is not so much. Because I feel like the energy that Libras possess around them is very, very relaxed and loose. So they might be made a spectacle in the summer of how tight they are, and they need to open up and be more, I would say, freeing and more adventurous. So it's going to be realization for them. So I feel like they're going to do that same thing, meet relationships, like, I'm not interested. Same thing. I'm not just not interested. And they'll be dating, but they're just not gonna find any interest. And so I think even in those who are in relationships, they're gonna feel like this relationship's kind of boring me a little bit, feel stale and stagnant. So, but a lot of this is because they just thought they had nothing else to think about anymore. And nothing else to
Mm,
weigh, to measure anymore. It's like, yeah, maybe
to
it's now
manipulate.
right, exactly, right. So now it's time to start feeling and being organic now, and so it's gonna be a realization for them, and I do see a lot of traveling with Libras too, or at least wanting to start to travel or to getting out of this modality of stiffness. So I think there will
Mm.
be those who are not in a relationship or looking for one will feel an impulse to travel. I'm seeing a lot of water around, so they might want to get to more Caribbean nature because it's a summer and want to be around that kind of aqua vibe in a sense. Definitely wouldn't go to Palm Springs, that's for sure. So I see a lot that kind of want to get out of that modality and be more adventurous in a sense. So for me, it's more collective, and I think that it's rather simple, but I think that there's not much dynamic either that I'm sensing. So they might not be more to like weigh and measure at that point, and it's really getting outside of themselves. And I think that's summertime is time for them to really realize that I've been too stiff. There's nothing more for me to measure. Why don't I start enjoying?
Do you see a difference between the Libra men and women?
I didn't generally, but let me dive deeper and like zoom in more. Um, Yeah, I see the Libra women seem to be more analytical on this and the
Mhm.
measuring for me. The Libra men seem more about like conditional things around, in sense. So that might get in the way of the relationship. So they might be so about job and I got my relationship, got my job here. This is all in balance. And so that's good. And it's like, well, nothing's really going with my career, nothing's going with my relationship. So they might realize things are a little stale and stagnant and they're just stiff and they need more adventure, they might realize. And the women might realize I'm overthinking, like a Virgo. I'm overthinking, trying to measure everything, and so I need to find some sort of release reprieve from this. So it's similar but slightly different in the sense of how they're expressing that for me.
Mhm. Interesting. Well, the South Node is in Libra, so that basically means that their ego is outdated. And I actually see
Right.
this. I think Libras have been a little arrogant,
Right.
frankly. And what's ironic is you have the reputation of being open and fair. And when you are officially open and fair, then arrogance goes unchecked.
Let me
And
interrupt you. I want to interrupt you 1 minute because that's what I mean by like measuring things. Like that's a very I didn't want to judge, but and throw that out. But it is arrogant to me because like you're measuring this. I got to check these boxes and like, but who are you to kind of set the positions on this? So I want to say like that's ego driven to me. So I just want to concur on that too. But
okay,
what I mean
yeah.
by that, yeah.
And it's further better. I mean, I've seen it with women where it's like, I'll save him. I'll show him
Right.
I'm the best girl for him.
Right.
It's just like that's actually very ego. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yes.
and I've seen the Libra men be like, I scored her. I scored. He's like a Scorpio. I've seen
Right.
Libra men acting like Scorpios.
I
Like,
got the job. I got my wife. I got this.
yeah, it's like a contest to get the hottest girl or whatever. And
Right.
I'm hasty general. I'm being hasty general. I know not all are the same, but I think what it is that they're kind of like cancers. They're kind of in the old world of
Right.
relationships
Yeah.
and their ego is still wired to the old hunt and chase and kind of thing. And so they're sort of being rebooted for the new era, I think.
I
And
agree.
I think here's the other thing. I think they were running after great ideas, not love.
Right.
I think the an analytic when you were saying check boxes, I agree. It was
Yeah.
like he's got this, the house, the this,
Right.
that's like, well, do you love him? Well,
Right.
yeah. It's like,
Right.
what do you mean that's the second thing that comes? It should be the first,
She's
like,
checking for it and he's getting it. Like, I got the house, the car, and all of a sudden she's like, "Does he
right,
have all that's the differences
exactly.
between the poles of the genders. It's like, it's
Yeah,
too
I've
stiff.
seen that. But I do think that it's because they're gonna actually be work in a way, what Libras do is work out how human relationships work. So
100%.
they are the petri dish. They are gonna figure out
Yep.
how it works next. They're gonna evolve the culture to the next level of how to
I
relate.
agree.
So they're doing the hard work, and unfortunately, they have to carry the burden. I
Right.
do Jupiter's in their house of travel, so you're head on that.
Mhm.
Like you're
Mhm.
that they are, I think, gonna be doing a lot of traveling,
Mhm.
expanding, thinking outside their box. I
Mhm.
actually think even though they rule relationships, they'll probably be the coolest. Is I agree. They'll have the least amount of love this summer,
Yeah.
official love, but that's
Yeah.
because they're redefining what love is. Like it,
Exactly.
it needs new terms. And I think I'm just going to put it out there. I predict in 2025 that they're going to find themselves with someone they never imagined they'd be with.
Right. Right.
Like I think they're about to change their entire type,
Paradigm. Yeah, I agree.
male and female. And I think the
Yep.
women are going to be swooped off their feet because they carry the purse, but they actually call the shots.
Right.
So I think they actually are now ready to be swooped up by the cowboy kind of energy,
Right.
which I think they really want, but
Yep.
they've always like attracted these fixer upper men. And I think the men are going to find tough women that call them on their bullshit.
Right.
And it's going to be a whole new day for the Libra
Yeah.
spectrum. So Libra's under construction, I think, as far as love is concerned. I think they're
Well,
going
they're
to
there
love
to
travel in places.
right, and they're there to teach us balance. I mean, that they're gonna bring that balance and find the balance in a different way for themselves too. So that again, this is definitely not a bashing on Libras. It's we admire that actually, and
Yep.
to me, it's a reflection that they are go-getters. It's a reflection that they do get things accomplished. It's a reflection that they do, manifest their desires a lot quickly and easier than others. So that's a speaking in favor of them. But we definitely want to see them in that proper balance and find the heart and soul that other signs have. And
Yeah,
so some of us
absolutely.
have to work on those, conditional manifestations as they mastered. But yeah, I think it's still great for them because they're gonna do what they want to do regardless. So even if the soul tells them to move on, they'll do it and feel good about it. So either way, I feel like they'll feel good in the process. Either way.
Agreed. And I think with the world going to hell, Libras are going to be out there doing diplomacy stuff. So they're going to be
Right.
busy in work.
It's serious joy.